This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
Put them numbers to your numbers and make them numbers go up.
No.
What do you mean no?
It wouldn't work.
And co-host Marney Winfield.
That's why they say you're transferring $1,000 USD.
Oh.
US dollars.
Oh, yeah, that is true. It is the 27th of December, 2022. My name's Corey Winfield.
My name's Marney Winfield.
And we're back in the studio. Feels good, doesn't it?
It does.
You got your nice leather chair. It's comfy. You got your blanket.
It is. It's nice.
Your old microphone. Feels good. It was brought to my attention today that our podcast is popular among people in recovery.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So weird.
That's a good thing.
I guess. Some guy was like, well, how many people do you think listen? I said, well, I got my mom and my aunt and Justin sometimes.
Tyrone?
Yeah, if I make him listen, I think Tyrone listens. If I'm like, Tyrone, listen tonight, then he will. You know? Even my mom's slipping, so I don't even know if I have her anymore. I just have my Aunt Barb. Hi.
We don't know. We're just
Shout
doing
out.
it.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Nah, but it's cool. And that, that's, if we can reach people and help people, that's cool. But we're not trying to be famous or not trying to be like the number one podcast in the world.
Right.
But we're just trying to have fun. That's what we do. So on the podcast, I think a week or two ago, I wanted to kind of talk about how I've changed along the way, because I got my 4 years a couple weeks ago and I had COVID, so it sucked. I didn't really talk too much, I don't think. But today, I think I'm ready to kind of get into it a little bit. And I want you to talk about your journey as well.
Okay.
Because we were laying in bed the other day, and not every day is rainbows and unicorns. Just going to throw that out there. Just being in recovery, though, a bad day is way better than being drinking and drugging and stuff. So, but there's still stress. There's still worry. There's still everyday life that happens, and I just said to you, honey, like, look at where we were 3 years ago and look at where we are now. Like, in 3 years from now, it's going to get even better because we're both ambitious and we're both going for things. We're not just settling for, okay, this is what we do. Everything is hunky-dory.
Mm-hmm.
We're just not that kind of people. And there's a lot of dreams, and you say, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming sometimes what Corey talks about that he wants to do. But that's, I think, better than just sitting around going, well, I'm going to fix the truck next Sunday, and then the Sunday comes and the truck doesn't get fixed. Well, I'm going to fix it next week after that, And sometimes, yes, I have, when I say, look, I'm going to be a public speaker, I'm going to go out and do that. I want to be a comedian. I want to make movie. I want to do a TV show. Like, those are things I really want to do. Are they going to happen tomorrow? No. But there are things that I can do every single day that kind of moves me forward to that. Whether it's just thinking in my own mind about doing things and how I have it planned out, and what's the next steps. But there's at least something that I'm trying to achieve in the future,
right?
By being sober and present today. So with that said, in 3 years, man, it's going to be great. I wouldn't have believed you if you told me I'm doing what I'm doing now.
Right.
3 years ago, I would have told you you're crazy. And just thinking the other day when we were at New Year's Eve, or not New Year's Eve, but Christmas Eve. And I'm just like thinking to myself, like 4 years ago, I got out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
Like that same day, and how far my life has come, and I've got married, and I mean, like, there's no way I would have believed you.
Yeah.
So why would 3 years from now be any different? One day we'll listen to this podcast and go, oh, remember I was talking about being a public speaker, or remember I was talking about doing that, and I went and did it, didn't I?
And the thing is, too, is you have, these goals and dreams and aspirations that you have. You talk about them, and I bet you a lot of people have a lot of ideas. They just don't vocalize them like you do, but they do materialize. It just take time, and even just talking about them is working on them, and I think that's amazing. And you can only do that because you're clean and sober today.
Yep.
You know, and like, yeah, you're right. We have bad days and we have stressors and we have things to complain about, you know, but those are like sober people problems. You know, they're just, people have issues. It's just part of life. And the fact that I can actually confront them and talk about them and deal with them and handle them. And sometimes it's not even about fixing things, you know, or resolving things. You do the best you can with what you got. And, you know, you keep on going. And then you get phone calls in the middle of the podcast.
Ugh, I answered that one. Sorry about that, everybody in the world. And
No.
I had the Bluetooth up. I was talking to Adam the other day, and yeah, damn it. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize. My bad.
That's all right. It's all good. This is kind of what life hands you.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. With that said, the dreams and goals that you have, you can't let people, I mean, you can let anybody do whatever you want, really. But a lot of people will brush you off or laugh or roll their eyes, especially for someone in recovery, in early recovery. You know, like, oh, we heard Bob say that before. Okay. You can't let that deter you. You can't let that get you down. And the reason why I believe I'm going to make a movie one day, and because I'm going to be a public speaker, you know, the reason why I think of that is because I can do anything I want as long as I'm sober. Mm-hmm. Do I know how? No, not really. But I can figure it out. Like if you look at our videos, our spotlight videos, from the very first one to the one I just did with Jacob Sparks, there's a huge difference just in quality, you know, and I'm learning along the way, you know, how to make little bitty videos, and I'm using that to turn it into something bigger one day. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel bad because when we went to Detroit, I did a video with Dan and Tyrone, and I don't like the quality of it, and I don't want to put it together because I'm not happy with it, and I don't want to put something out that I'm not 100% happy with now.
Sure.
You know, like when we first were starting out, it was like, hey, we got some iPhones and let's make a video, and we could because that's what we had. But now I'm trying to take it to another level, so I'm not going to settle for that. And there's nothing wrong with the first videos we did. With your video, I think it was great. You know, but as they get longer, because I think at first they're like 5 minutes long, and now they're like up to like 15, 20 minutes, you know, and I want them to look a certain way, and I want to have like a professional feel to it. Mm-hmm. So, and with the public speaking, I mean, I've done public speaking, but I think it's time that I kind of turn that into kind of a career thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not that I'm going to do like every single week, but, you know, if someone in California wants to fly me out to talk to some people, hey, I should probably do that. And
Sure.
not on my dime, you know, like I know that they fly people here, you know, to talk. And I'm like, okay, like that dude's cool, but yeah, I can do that too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And, you know, I think of all the times that I went and did stuff for free, that's cool. I don't mind doing that. And I look at that like that's experience.
Mm-hmm. It's service work.
Yeah. And when I talk at the rehab every week, you know, that's experience, you know, where I get a chance to talk in front of people. You know, is it 10,000 people? No. But it doesn't matter. You know, like you kind of hone in, and the more you do that, it's like I'm getting paid by experience.
Yeah.
In my soul.
There you go.
My soul's getting paid.
I like that.
Thanks. I just thought of that. I'm going to get a t-shirt made up now. My soul's getting paid. But no, when I first started on this path and this journey in recovery, it was 2019 is when I got out of treatment, and I was just determined to start a podcast and to start a company. And then it dawned on me that transportation was needed in Northern Michigan, you know, to get people where they needed to go. And at first it was just like, hey, how can we get people to meetings? Because there are a lot of people that can't even make it to meetings. Now, of course, with COVID, you can jump online and get a meeting. Mm-hmm. You know, there's really no excuse that someone can't get a meeting in.
Yeah.
So that's going to change. But it occurred to me, too, that a lot of people going to and from treatment have a problem. Not everybody, but there are some, and we just can't let that be the case. We can't fail people like that. And with the PIHP up here in Northern Michigan, NMRE, they understand that too, and they want to help get people where they need to go. So they kind of work with us, and some things are in the works, but that was where I was kind of thrown into the mix, and then like all the stuff that I had to do along the way really kept me busy. And I remember, I've said this, I don't know, not too long ago, but when I had my 1 year, I like told my story, which I'm afraid to even listen to now, because I know I was throwing a lot of blame out on people. I was saying, well, I was hanging around with this person and that person, and they were an alcoholic, and they brought me down with them, and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think it was until, I don't know, maybe 6-7 months ago that I realized that I wasn't taking responsibility and I wasn't being accountable for me. I was still trying to hide under the shade of it was everybody else. It was this, it was that. And now I'm in a place to where I can look back and I can take accountability for my actions. And, I can apologize to all those people that I was throwing shade on, and blame, well, it's your fault. I was hanging around with you. No, it wasn't their fault. I was probably the one bringing them down, but all I can do is move forward with that, and if you're in early recovery, just be aware of that too, how you act in year one, and you think, man, I made it a year, and oh, look at me. It's great. It is great. It's awesome, but you will change, and you will, at least I did, in how you think about things then, and then you keep adding time to it. And I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older or if it really is changing to where when I look back at things, it's a little easier for me to accept my faults. Because nobody likes to look in the mirror and start picking yourself apart. Nobody does that.
Right.
And when people lash out and say, well, your car's dirty. Oh, well, your car doesn't have any tires, Like that's the automatic response is to throw it right back. But when you can kind of take that in and accept it and be like, yeah, I need to wash my car. You're right. It's better. Like, why do I need to tell you that your car's tires suck? Like, maybe they do, maybe they don't. That's your problem. That's whoever's car with the bad tires problem is.
Right.
Again, my analogies, I don't know. I think sometimes they're good, but sometimes they suck. But I'll just go wash my car, and because that's all I can control. And I think I'm more that way now. So that's how I think that I've changed over the years, and just more grateful for things that I do have. I still worry like a crazy man. I'm always worrying about things, and I pray a lot, and I put it in God's hands and say, God, I need you to take care of me. I was talking to Justin tonight after our meeting that we talked at, and I told him, it's like, well, something's got to happen, and God wants good things for me. Jesus is a big fan. So I just put it in his hands, and I know that everything's going to happen for a reason. I didn't come up with all these ideas.
Right.
God put them in my head. I'm just following suit. Before I would always try to want to do it my way. And now it's just kind of like, well, let's just do this and it'll pay off. We're doing things for the right reasons. We want to get the recovery community involved here. And I think that's going to happen. And who knows? Like, I think so much good stuff's going to happen that we really have no idea.
Yeah.
That we would, like, just like I said 4 years ago, if you'd have told me the stuff I'm doing now, I wouldn't have believed you. Same thing. I won't even see it coming. Yeah. Except for my comedy stand-up special on Netflix. What's up?
Well, I think it's important too to, just like it's important to own, your behaviors and your actions when you were in your addiction, right? Saying like your car's dirty, whatever. Like, yeah, I did that. Like, that was my actions. Nobody made me do that. I put myself in bad circumstances where it made the likelihood of me making even worse decisions more probable. That's a fact, right? But I mean, I was at this party. That's why I went to this party. No, like, nobody dragged anybody, anywhere. We make our own decisions. And the thing about, being an active addiction is it just pulls you back in, and it pulls you back in, and saying it being like, you make poor decisions, right? your whole processing system is just whacked. And you don't know right from left. And then you feel bad about the decisions you've already made. So you're like, well, kick them while they're down. Everybody already thinks I'm a piece of crap anyway. I mean, you can get down on yourself like that. And that's why it's so hard to get yourself back up and dust yourself off, especially if you're down that rabbit hole. But turn that around and you think about getting a little bit of time under your belt and starting to see changes, is you got to continue celebrating your recovery and celebrating you and being not only just grateful, but proud of yourself. And I don't think people do that enough, because that's what's going to keep that stamina. That's what's going to keep that drive going, is reminding yourself every day, like, even if it seems stupid, like, heck yeah, man, 18 days, and then tomorrow it's like, heck yeah, man, 19. You don't have to wait for a friggin' coin, right, to be proud of yourself and give yourself a pat on the back for staying sober another day. Because there was days 22 days ago that you would never have imagined you could have had that many days in a row sober. And, I don't keep track of like what day I am sober today or anything. I mean, I have an idea, but I still give myself credit. Oh, you're going to look it up. I still give myself, credit every day for staying clean and sober and doing what I'm doing. And I guarantee you all these things that creep into my head of why I have my early morning stress sessions about like grad school and, bills and, life stuff and family gatherings that we need to make it to. Those are some friggin' problems that I couldn't even dreamed of having, not all that long ago. I might not have even been invited to these family gatherings, and I would have been way too worried about how I could, figure out if I was going to be even functional at it, or, if I don't know, if I was even wanted there, right? In the first place, if it was like a kind of like a pity invite because I was family. And bills, I mean, I actually have a home that is, ours. And yeah, to live there, you have to pay bills for it. But like, I didn't have that. I didn't have that problem. And I'm complaining about problems that are actually the result of the beauty of being sober. And that is what I just need to keep reminding myself. And that kind of goes back to what you're saying, is like, yeah, we have difficulties and we have things that are worrisome and stress us out, but they're beautiful problems to have. Honestly, that sounds really screwed up, but it is very true.
And this might sound screwed up too, but one of the guys who started the podcast with me, Rob, like, I don't know if he's still alive. I sent him a Merry Christmas text and I haven't got anything back. Last time I talked to him, he was not doing well. And it's like, where would he be at now if he didn't, make that choice to, well, I'm going to use again.
Yeah.
Where would he be at?
Right.
Would he still be on the podcast with me? I can guarantee you 100% he would be in a better spot than he is right now today. I would 100%. I know that.
Yeah.
We all do, and I don't know if he kicks himself or beats himself up, but I don't think he does. But it's just one of those things. It's like, man, that one bad decision, it can take you right back down. And I tell people, if you fall, don't wait. Don't be out there too long, because you can set it afire real quick. And you got to set your pride aside sometimes. And you were talking about, be proud of yourself. I think a lot of people early recovery, and I did this many times, get having money confused with pride. I think that's in society how people look at you, like, are you successful? You got money? Oh man, you're good. No, no, you're not. And I was one of those people in rehab, like, oh man, I just need to get out of here and I just need to make some money. Once I get out, I'll get a job and I'll make some money. I just need to pay my electric bill and pay this and, make sure my insurance is paid, have a little money to live. I'll get a job. I'll do this. And I'll have it all planned out. It was great. And then I'll get a job and I'd have a little bit of money and then I would drink. and it would all be gone. I'd lose the job. I mean, it was right back to the same old thing. So did I feel proud that I was back on my feet and I had a job and had a paycheck and was, paying my own electric? Yeah, sure. But it was the wrong kind. It wasn't the real proud of myself for being sober. It was proud of myself for paying a bill. It's because I made it to work today. Okay, whoop-de-doo. And when I went to sober living, I had to get a job, and it was a great job at Hearthside Grove in Petoskey. It was great. But it wasn't going to make me rich, and it was only seasonal. So from there, then I started kind of working at treatment centers for a minute. But then it became time to like, okay, well, I need to drive and I need to do this. And we got our nonprofit status. So let's go with 217 recovery, and the stuff that we want to do. And by doing that for a couple of years, not really making any money, just having enough to keep the company afloat, to put gas in the car. And a big shout out to Breaking Alignment Plus. They hook us up a lot with, things that we need for our vehicle. They're in Traverse City, Michigan. If you're in Traverse City, go there for your auto needs. For real. And they support the recovery community for real. So I love those guys and they love the recovery community. So, but the money though, it was never there. It still hasn't been there, but that's what, going back to when I say, God's put me here for a reason and he's going to take care of me. He's going to take care of us. There are things in our personal life that we're going after and that we want. And I believe it's going to happen, and call me crazy, but why not? It feels good to believe in it. It feels good to believe in God and to know that he wants good things for us. And if that makes me feel better, then why would I want to feel any other way? I could start kicking cans down the road and pouting about how come I don't have that or how come I don't have this. And it's easy to sometimes.
Yeah.
You hear about what we want and other people have it all the time. And you're like, that person doesn't deserve that. What the hell? But that's not how it works. We can only control what we can control, and having that outlook on it for me is much more positive.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes, but just gotta believe that it's going to work out, and I believe that things will work out for us, and that's kind of where I'm at with that. There was a guy earlier that had called me and was telling me about how he went to like a sober living house. And he's like, yeah, well, across the street, they had like a Halloween party and they were drinking beer. So I went over there and the guy poured me a beer. And I was like, so you didn't want to stay sober? Well, I mean, the guy poured me a beer, so I had to drink it. I was like, but you lived in a sober living home. Well, yeah. I was like, man, if I was in that sober living home, I would have ratted your ass out. I would have been throwing your stuff outside, because at Nathan's house where I lived in Point City, nobody had the mentality of, oh, you're going to rat on me for drinking. It was like, if you were drinking in there, you were the piece of shit, that was trying to bring everybody else down. Nobody wanted to be around that, and I don't know if that's what do they call that? A group thing or majority thing. Like if the majority of the house is like that, like sure. But if the majority of the house is the other way, I'm sure that would have been different for me at Nathan's house, but I don't think it would have ever gotten that way there. And people, usually weed themselves out pretty quick. And if you can't control yourself by, first of all, did you get an invitation in the mail to that party? Did you know the guy throwing that party? Like, what were you doing at that? Why did you just, it's across the street, so you walked over there? Like, that might as well just walk to the liquor store. I mean, it just didn't make any sense, that he was trying to, like, make up this excuse of why he drank. And I was like, dude, first of all, you don't have to tell me anything about, just get back to where you need to go. And I don't know. It was a very kind of weird conversation that I had with him, and it was just like,
yeah. And like early in recovery, you have no business being at a party that's, got a keg full of beer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that, beer exists. I mean, we know that alcohol's everywhere. Mm-hmm. Drugs are everywhere, right? But to give yourself the best chances of making it, especially in that early sobriety, like where you're super vulnerable, you're just getting your wits about you, right? You don't know what triggers you, what doesn't. You don't really have a solid support system yet, maybe. Why would you put yourself in that situation? Like, don't do that. that's not helping your chances, man, for you just show, oh, I was just going to go over and check it out. It didn't bother me that they were pouring beer. No, obviously it did, and that's just upsetting. But, those are the things you got to look out for. Be smart about.
Don't want to be in sober living, live in your car. Don't be in sober living then. And I was guilty of that too in the past. I got kicked out of a house because I was drinking, and that's exactly what should have happened. I wasn't doing it for the right reasons either. Mm-hmm. And I didn't just, I kind of came from treatment, but not really. And I didn't know anybody in the houses either. And so, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I definitely was not in there for the right reason. I was in there just to kind of, I'll show them that I can do it here. Look, and obviously I didn't think I lasted a week, but that's a good thing. That's what happens to people. And I wasn't a jerk about, being thrown out. Well, I kind of was, but I wasn't. Not about actually leaving the house. But some people just get so defensive and entitled sometimes, which it just blows my mind. I was talking about that today at the meeting. I was like, guys, if you fail a drug test, 99.9% of the time it's because you did a drug. Stop doing that drug, and be honest. And look, we're in early recovery. We understand, sometimes it just doesn't click for people right away. But if you're honest with it, you don't have to be a bad person. You can, be a real human, and people will have, sympathy, and most of the times empathy. If somebody's in recovery too, they'll get it. They know. And that same empathy is what they have when they realize that the drug test came back dirty. They're going to know that you did a drug. And then people, well, you think I did that? Oh, I put chapstick up my butt, and that's what made me, they'll come up with the dumbest excuses. And you're just looking at them like, dude, stop drinking. Stop doing drugs, man. Like, how about we start there? Mm-hmm. I wasn't, man. You call me a liar? Well, you can call it however you want it, but if that's what's happening, then sure. But you failed the drug test, so that means you did drugs or you drank. What more do you want me to say? If you want to go ahead and call yourself a liar, then go ahead, or you can just tell the truth. That's on you. But if you're so worried about being called a liar, maybe you shouldn't lie. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to be called an arsonist, then don't burn down houses. I'm just saying, mm-hmm. Did you call me a painter? Would you paint that picture? Yeah. I guess then you would be a painter, maybe. I don't know. It's just some of the dumbest thing. And I said the entitlement with some people, it just blows my mind. I'm like, well, who are you? And I've talked about this many times on the podcast too. It's like, first of all, you earn trust. Yeah. You don't just show up at the house and it's like a video game. Everybody's on the same level of health. No. Everybody's on the same level of trust. No. You're at the bottom. You got to earn it.
Yep.
You don't, why don't you think I'm... Dude, you live in a sober living house, man. You just came from your 8th rehab. Why would I think that you were drinking or using drugs? Oh, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Let's pull out your report card. Mm-hmm. It just baffles me though. And sometimes they're grown-ass women, grown-ass men. And you're just looking at them like, are you kidding me, man? Or when they call me and they talk to me and it's just like, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. I'm not going to be in your corner. I'm going to be in the corner of recovery. And the fact that you can get off your ass and do it, and it's going to take some work, but you got to be ready. Yeah. And it's just like I'm not trying to preach to people, but I'm just saying it is difficult when you don't want to let go. And when you're still holding on to that thought of drinking and using again, it's impossible, in my opinion, to actually be in recovery. Yeah. As long as you're still thinking in 5 years you can drink again, or 2 weeks you can drink again, or the fact that you can use again at all, mm-hmm. It's not good. You got to let that go.
And having that obsession still follow you around, and that might be common too, and normal for people in early recovery. Like, I'm constantly thinking about, not doing it, or the consequences of doing it, or the, pros and cons of doing it and not doing it. And like, I get that part. It doesn't just, magically happen overnight. No. But I mean, I can say that there's this phase of life that eventually things click. At least for me, it did. And it started just becoming natural. And recovery made sense to me. And then now, I mean, I couldn't imagine ever picking up a drink or drug again, because I know where I go. I know where I go. Like, I'm not trying to be like I'm some freaking awesome recovery superhero, right? Like, look at me. I don't ever, I am completely, alcohol and drug thoughts just bounce off me. No, that's not it. It's not it at all. It's just I don't let them absorb into my brain. I don't let them take me places where I don't need to go. And I don't have that obsession, because when you are constantly thinking about having it, needing it, doing it, getting away with it, getting more of it, all that's just as exhausting as using. Yeah. So, and I mean, hang in there, and just keep doing the next right thing. And, I never thought in a million years if I heard me talk right now, like 4 years ago, and I heard me talk, I'd be like, yeah, sweetheart, you make that sound real nice, for you, but not for me. And I would be saying that right now to myself. But it's so real. It's so real. Just keep on keeping on, and, and the miracle will happen, and that, switch will flip, and before you know it, you're just like, I get it. I get it now. This is what I need to do. And I'm good with it.
I was thinking that same, well, not really the same thing, but like, if my mom was listening to this, she'd be like, yeah, Corey, why didn't you just get it the first time? Of course I didn't. I didn't get it the same time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, probably 50th time. But I didn't give up either. And when I started having real consequences, like before, I'd be like, oh, I drank again. Oh, darn, I got to go to rehab. That was my punishment to myself. Well, I guess I'll go to rehab again. But when real consequences started happening, and the real consequences of, like, I could have killed somebody driving and not even remember, and there was no reason for me to drive, like, that was scary. And then losing like 4 days and not knowing what happened, and seeing empty bottles on the ground, just going, how did I get those? I don't remember anything. Like, that is scary. And I just drove, and I don't remember. And apparently I didn't walk probably to the store to get these bottles. So again, I drove again, and I don't remember a single thing. And that, was like a rude awakening. And thank God that I didn't kill anybody. Mm-hmm. We've been hearing about accidents all the time around where we live, and it's just like, wow, like, that's bad.
Yeah. And
it could have easily happened to me.
Yeah. And
I think that was a real kind of wake up call. Like, whoa, this isn't a game anymore. This is something that's real. And I knew that, it almost killed me, and I still drank after that. So, it's not a walk in the park sometimes, but until you can get that wake up call, until you can look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I really don't want to do this anymore, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And people say that a lot. And at first, when I was hearing that, I didn't want to hear. I'm like, whatever it takes. And I was kind of a smart ass about it. Like, oh, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that for that. But that's not what it really means. It means whatever it takes means to stop doing it your way and listen to other people. And don't be afraid of having a great, successful life in recovery. Don't be afraid that, oh, I'm going to miss out, man. I'm not going to be able to get high anymore. I'm not going to be able to drink anymore. I'm going to miss so much. No, you're not. You're not going to miss a thing. Your brain will tell you sometimes when you're feeling uncomfortable, you should go grab it because that'll make you feel better. But you're not going to feel better. You're going to feel worse. You're going to feel shittier than you did before. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to start doing it all over again anyway. So, the more distance you put between your last drink, the easier it does get. The less thoughts you'll have about it, but they'll still pop you. Like you said, they'll still pop in your head. Sunny days for me sometimes driving, I'm like, man, it'd be nice to, get a buzz. But it's so easy for me to shut that shit down now. It's like, wait, hold on. Let's run this through. How is that going to work out?
Yeah.
I'm just going to go home and just get drunk and play video games. Then what? Well, I'm not going to be able to stop drinking. So what? I run my bank account dry and Marney comes home and that's not going to be a very good conversation. Oh, I'm just going to hide in the bedroom. Like, no, like you start running it through and you're like, well, what if somebody needs a ride that day to treatment? Like they're always last minute usually. Oh, I can't because I'm drunk today. Like
No.
that's just something that can't happen. And so it's shut down pretty quick, with like running through how things are really going to go. And it used to go like, oh, well, I'll just start drinking Friday and I have to work Monday. So I'll just drink Friday night, be good. Well, then Saturday I'd wake up and, there'd be a third of the half gallon left. And I'd be like, well, let me just kill that real quick. Well, before I do, though, I should probably go get some more because that's not going to be enough to even do anything. So I'm going to do that. The next thing you know, it's Thursday. I call the boss and he says, well, there's 3 days, no call, no show. So you're fired, man. Well, might as well go drink again. I got $75 left. Might as well. Well, maybe mom will turn the electric back on for me. I don't know, because that bill's due and I don't have enough for it. And there you go again. The cycle continues. Yeah. Because I thought I could drink on a Friday. Because my brain told me that I could, and it was a beautiful fall day, and why not? I like drinking on fall days. Like, your brain will trick you. Your brain will convince you that's a great idea, and remember how great it was. What a great feeling that was to get a buzz early in the morning on a Saturday. Wasn't that fun? And your brain will just tell you that it's so much fun. It's really not. It won't tell you, oh, yeah, remember how you were passed out by 11 and you missed the game and all the stuff that you wanted to do, and you fell asleep when you started cooking a pizza, and thank God you woke up when the smoke detector was going off, and now it's black, and that was your only pizza, and that was the only thing you were going to eat this weekend. So now what?
That sounds like a real story.
Yeah, it's fun. It was a real good time, wasn't it? That's what I'm missing out on. That's the life I could have. I would be dead today, though. You and I both agree that if we would continue drinking, we would not be alive today.
Nope, I would definitely not be. Definitely not be.
No, I wouldn't either. And, those are options that we had, and we kind of decided we had enough. And no, it wasn't easy for either one of us. It took us years to put it together, and a lot of failure. But we never gave up. And then we finally got to that point where it was like, okay, I surrender. I give up. So if somebody who's going through it, just hopefully they can get to that point. But it's not an overnight thing. And, just because they fail doesn't make them bad people. But
absolutely not.
There's a time, though, where they have to get real with themselves. And, you and I both, we had to get real with ourselves. And like I said, for me, it was the real life circumstances that could have happened that didn't, and I wanted to avoid, because they easily could have happened to me. But that's all I got for tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the podcast tonight, Marney. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And thanks for listening. Tell your friends if you know someone who's looking for a recovery podcast. We have tons of episodes where we talk about hunting, we talk about ghosts, we talk about recovery.
Oh my gosh, so much random stuff.
Talk about, time travel.
Yeah.
those are more in the earlier days. So if you're a time travel fan, I think 2019, 2020 might be good.
I don't know. You snuck in a couple time travel episodes in 21.
Did I?
Yeah. Maybe even early 22.
Maybe.
That never really goes away.
No, it doesn't. But yeah, check them out. If you have our 217 Recovery app, which you can get it in the App Store, I think you have to type in 217 Recovery Podcast.
Yeah.
And that'll pull it up. But yeah, get the app. You might have to scroll down a little bit. I'm not sure. But get the app. You can listen to all the episodes from the very beginning. You can see pictures. There's some blogs on there as well. Just a few. We need to find another blog writer.
Yeah.
Somebody who likes to write blogs. If you know somebody, or maybe it's you, let us know. Give you a shot. It pays $0. It pays soul money.
It pays your soul.
You get a soul.
Yeah.
My soul's getting paid t-shirt. Nah, but again, thanks. 217recovery.com. There's all kinds of resources on there as well. But thank you for listening and take care.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. Win a bunch of free shit from 217 Recovery. Go to the app or the website, 217recovery.com.